Dr Hilary's here now. Obviously, of course, an illness doesn't discriminate between anybody. If you're an A-list star, you're just like everybody else, you know. This is the thing.
Yeah, we talked about the Queen, didn't we?
Yes.
Lining up and shaking hands, wearing gloves, of course, but still in face-to-face contact with people breathing in and out. And we know that the virus can be transmitted just through tidal breathing air, not just sneezing. So, yes, this doesn't discriminate between a homeless person or, you know, monarchy. It's going to affect anybody, actors, sportsmen, and it will do. Hilary,
there's a COBRA meeting later on, I think this afternoon. Is it likely that these kind of measures will be implemented in the UK? You know, travel bans and all of these things?
I think we're likely to see further discussions on mass gatherings at this point.
Right.
It may well be that if it's not today, that in the next few days we'll see a ban on sporting events where lots of people are gathered together.
Right.
Because as the number of cases in this country rises exponentially, which it will because we're following Italy's trajectory,
right.
It's likely that people will start to get more worried about transmission of the virus, and it makes sense by keeping people at a social distance that we reduce the spread of the virus, and therefore we reduce the burden on what is going to be a very overstretched NHS.
That's very true. It's like what I was saying about cool heads, that's for sure. Really interesting, Ross. I wonder about whether or not authorities in America or big sporting events or big mass gatherings of people, are there talk of bans? Are people kind of delaying or postponing big events?
Well, it's interesting you say that, Lorraine, and Hills are talking about sporting events. So the NBA, the National Basketball Association out here, for a while they were really concerned, and some of the games were being played without any fans in the stadiums. Now, what has happened is that one of the NBA players who plays for the Utah Jazz has been tested positive. So now the NBA have postponed the whole of the season here. So all the games themselves will not actually take place, not just a case of them not taking place in front of a crowd. Now the whole season itself has been postponed. Obviously, as you can imagine, with a lot of the talk shows out here, shows like Ellen, Live with Kelly and Ryan, they're not having any studio audiences, which again, you can completely understand. But then you think about the knock-on effect, and then does it spread to Broadway, to the West End, and suddenly, you know, big theatres, and then, of course, shows will just obviously close, but then will they actually reopen? It's such a weird time.
It really is, and it's like what Tom Hanks said, you've got to take it day to day. You've got to follow the advice and just take it day to day. Ross, I know you're going to be back later. Thank you for the moment. And Hilary, just because you are the voice of reason, really, I know a lot of people are getting very, very concerned right now. What would you say to them?
They have to remember that most people, if they are exposed to this virus, are going to be ill for a few days, but they're going to recover. The vast majority of people are going to recover. We need to remember that children hardly get symptoms, and we've had very few serious cases in children under 10 anywhere in the world. We have to remember the older people and people with pre-existing conditions are more vulnerable, and we kind of need to cocoon them because, you know, they are the most at risk. But for the majority of people, life goes on. This is going to last some time. This is going to last all year.
Wow.
We may not have a vaccine for 12, 18 months. We will see a peak, probably May, possibly later in the summer, and then cases will tail off, and those people who've had the virus will be immune.
Right.
Almost certainly, and won't get it again. So I think we need to have that sense of reality, that sense of calm. This is going to change our lives. The things that we've taken for granted for so long, those lovely sporting events, entertainment events, we're just going to have to do without them for a little while.
Right.
And possibly this will refocus people on what's really important in life, health, looking after other people, and not taking things for granted. So that may sound a bit naive and a bit philosophical,
No, it's not.
but I think it will, for the first time in many people's lifetimes, what's really important, and it's our health and our family and the people looking after society as a whole, not being selfish.
You're a very wise man. Very lucky to have you, Hilary. Thank you very much indeed.
Hi, I'm Dr Hilary Jones. I hope you found that video useful, and if you did, why not think about subscribing and go to any of our playlists that you might find useful.